Cool. All right, so we are now going to go to how to avoid the spam folder. This is the 5 things that we're going to cover, right? And the 5 things are: you're going to want to create a marketing email and domains different than your sort of corporate email to do for your marketing. That's a strategy you can use. You want to avoid bad mailing lists, clean your list regularly, track email stats, and make sure emails can be replied to, okay? All right, so a big thing you can do, let's say you just bought an email list and you want to be able to send to it, but you don't want it to affect your email score. You don't want any bad emails on there to affect your email score, because if you have a really low email score, you can actually be shut off. They can ban you. So let's say you have a bad email score, Gmail, they can actually ban you from sending emails to Gmail users. So that's why this stuff's really important. So if you are doing any sort of older tactics and things that are sort of faux pas from what we're talking about today, what you're going to want to do is create a second domain name and second email address that is disconnected from your corporate email that you can use to do sort of more marketing tactics and prospecting, right? So let's say your mortgage office website is untitledmortgage.com. Your email from there is Rebecca at Untitled Mortgage, and then you have your corporate mortgage office website and domain name here listed on the left. What you would want to do is use that for sort of your corporate communications, messaging back and forth with past borrowers and current borrowers. And then let's say you had an email list that you wanted to prospect to. You could then create a new domain name. So let's say you made like a landing page just for yourself, which you can see down here on the right. You could pop in a BNTouch form here for people to come on and input their contact info. It'll go right into your BNTouch system. You can start marketing to them. You would put RebeccaMortgage.com as the domain name. So it's a separate domain name, different from your mortgage office domain name. And then you'd have an email address, Rebecca@RebeccaMortgage.com, that you could use for your prospecting. This will create a separate email score for this separate email address and domain name that will not affect what you will be doing on your corporate address. So that way, if you're trying anything that you're iffy about if it'll affect your email score or will go to spam, you can do it here, and it'll be a separate place to prospect with. Michael says, so would it be a bad practice to have new separate domain forwarded back to our main website? Yes, because the email providers are smart enough to track that. So if it's just a forwarding address, you would want to create it like a separate, again, this can just be a really quick landing page with a form on it and some stuff just so people can opt in. And then once they're opted in, you can use this list anywhere, right? Because they're already opted in. So the goal is just to use this for your prospecting, for your cold emails, essentially. You want to create a second domain name and email address just for your cold emailing. That way, anything that's bouncing, because your cold emails are likely going to have the lowest engagement rate, the lowest stats, the lowest click-through, and you're going to want to make sure this is not connected to your regular email address. So using this for your cold emails can have just a simple opt-in form, and then once someone's opted in, you can do whatever you want with that list because they've opted in for your communications, right? Which is rule number 1 in the golden rules. Jay, we will get to that later, but thank you for that question. So that's the first thing. Number 2 is you're going to want to avoid purchasing mailing lists now, guys. I know it's the easy way to get a lot of contacts, but honestly, this is a dead practice. Within the next couple years, this isn't really going to be a thing that is allowed at all anymore. If you do have a list that you just purchased that you really want to use, you can go with the You can use this from your second email address or domain name if you want to do, again, some of these sort of older practice things that are we'll call them pre-2020 crackdown. Pop this back up real quick. All right, so yeah, you really don't want to be scraping emails. You really don't want to be purchasing mailing lists anymore. again, if you recently purchased a list, you can use it on your second domain. Let's call it your cold email domain. You want to make sure that every email you send has an unsubscribe link. If you use BNTouch for your emails, this is automatically done and generated for you. At the bottom of all your emails you send, there will be a automatically added unsubscribe link. But what I would recommend you all do is add yourself to your database, have one of your emails be sent to you, and test it for yourself just to make sure it works. Because if it's not working for any reason, if a piece of data is input incorrectly within the system, within your system or somewhere in your records, this could greatly affect your email score. It could very much hurt your email score. So that's what I would recommend you guys do. Put yourself in your own database, send yourself an email like you would any of your clients. Maybe put yourself into one of your drip campaigns and then test to make sure that your unsubscribe link works. If it doesn't, reach out to support. We'll make sure it gets working. And then another big thing that the email providers look for is if you have a privacy policy on your website. Of these things, this is probably the least important, but again, anything you can do to help your email score is good, because the last thing you want is to be kicked out or considered a spam sender on one of these providers. That's a huge source of income for any business, is sending out emails. So having a privacy policy, it can be really simple. Write one up just in some sort of legalese saying that you don't use people's data or send it somewhere else, or that and so on. You can Google privacy policy, standard privacy policy, and probably just put one right in on your website. But this is something that these email service providers, again, the Gmails, the Hotmails, the Yahoos, this is something they will look for on your website. So this helps your email score a lot too. Clean your lists regularly. This is a big one. I've listed here the top 3, the sort of the most well-known cleaning services you can use. And essentially what a cleaning service for your email lists is you take your email list, you upload it to this website, and it'll go through every single person on that list and check to see if it is a real email address that is able to receive emails. Right? So this is greatly going to reduce your bounce rate. Greatly reduce the bounce rate of your emails that aren't sending out, which is going to be a huge thing for improving your email score or not letting it go down in the first place. Okay. And then we have, as we've seen these criterias grow in again, we'll call it the email crackdown of 2020, we are working on licensing with one of these 3 services to include a list cleaning feature in BNTouch. So that's coming. But as of now, to start doing this now, NeverBounce, MailGun, and data validation. You can just Google any of these, they'll pop up. And I can actually just put them in the chat real quick for you as well. We've got NeverBounce, MailGun, and data validation all in the chat. Are we able to find out, Yvonne says, are we able to find out which emails are bounced in BNTouch? Currently, I can see who clicked through or opt out, but I don't see any bounce back. Yes, I will get into that later on. We'll actually go into BNTouch and I'll show you how you guys can check all this information out for yourself. But again, you're gonna wanna be cleaning your lists probably once a month. These services are free right now up to a certain amount of contacts, and then you pay a little fee on top for anything above that. But you get X amount a month for free. So depending on how many contacts you have, there may be a small fee or not. And again, this feature will be coming soon into BNTouch as well. It's something we're working on currently right now. Yeah, clean your list once a month. It'll decrease your bounce rate, increase your email score. Cool. This is a big one too. You want to make sure that your emails can be replied to. Engagement rate is the #1 factor of your email score, right? These email service providers, they want to see that people are engaging with what you're sending their users, right? So when you send out an email blast, engagement rate, it's a mixture of how many people open your email, how many people reply to your email, and how many people click through to your email. So these are really the 3 main stats that you want to be trying to improve month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year in your email stats. Jay says, what is considered a good percentage of opens? I have this later on in the presentation as well. We'll go through what you want to be shooting for as far as opens, bounce rates, click-through rates, all of those things. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but thank you, Jay. So these are the main things that you want to be focusing on. And this is why, just like buying a mailing list is sort of a dead practice, using a no reply address for your emails. So an email address that sends things out but can't receive emails. This is also, I want you guys to think of this as a dead practice as well. You want to have an email sending out your blast that someone can reply to if they have a question or a comment or a concern. I'm sure most of you are already doing this, but it is huge. And then again, using a person name as your sender name rather than your company name will also make people more likely to respond to something because they'll think they're responding to a person rather than going to some company forwarding address or big inbox. So I would recommend you do that as well, as you have your emails come from someone in your company's name, if not your own, someone in your company's name. This will also increase how many people are replying to an email back to you. Okay, and this is going to be a huge part of your engagement rate. Cool. So that is the sort of staying out of the spam best practices. We went through those 5 things, and now we're going to get into email engagement best practices. So this is where we'll get into Yvonne, as we'll show you where to see your results and be in touch, and Jay we'll get into what the specific percentages you should be looking for are. All right. So it's number 1, segment your lists, personalize your emails. Again, a lot of these are going to seem pretty straightforward, but there are some important ways to do this that the email service providers like that are going to be better than just a general, I know how to personalize my emails. There's some specific ways to do it, and we'll talk about some ways you can do things like this within BNTouch as well. You're going to want to have more text, less links in your emails. Make sure there are no typos or spam words. And then you're going to want to test, and test again. Again, the rule number 2 in the golden rule, track your results and improve your content quality. If you're just testing and always making sure your stuff is getting better over time and your results are getting better, as long as that's happening, you will pretty much not have to worry about your email score. You'll be good to go. Okay, so the first thing is segmenting lists and personalizing your emails. BNTouch has meta tags. If you guys haven't used these before, they'd allow you to put in a sort of categorized thing into your emails. So you can say, for example, it'll say like insert first name, and then when you send out your emails, it'll put in the first name for every email that goes out of the person it applies to. If you don't know how to use those, let's just do a quick jump in and check one out. So if you're editing one of your emails, you will see there is a insert meta tag section here. You can see they show up like this in your emails. Dear client name, that'll insert their name when you send the email out to them, and there is a ton of them. You can do it by their partner name. So let's say they have their realtor partner, you can have their name in. You want to sort of personalize these to people as much as you can. You can search through those. There's a bunch of good stuff in there. So that's through meta. That's how you can do that within BNTouch. You can create lists. You can segment your list by location. So let's say you have people in this zip code and this zip code. You can actually call them out by their zip code in the email. That'll much more likely improve your open rate. Let's say you have the name of their city or their specific area within a city, even better. The more specific you can get with this, the better. I'm more likely to open something that has my name and my city somewhere in the beginning of the text or in the subject line even. Reginald, you can set this up for borrower and co-borrower in the meta tags. Both of those are in there. So you can add borrower name, co-borrower name. And again, there's a search feature in the meta tag, so just search for what you want and it should pop up. But there's probably 100 different ones you can use based on different pieces of data that you have within any of your mortgage records. Okay. You can create lists by loan program. So let's say you have a VA loan program, some ones for first-time home buyers, whatever it is. you can actually segment and create a list based on these criteria and then send out emails that are personalized to that loan program. Again, this is going to hugely increase your engagement rate when something is specifically tailored for what I'm looking for as your potential borrower. And then maybe something like first-time home buyer or not. A first-time home buyer is going to want completely different information than a second, third, fourth, fifth-time home buyer in the process, right? So segment your lists. The more niche and segmented you can get, the better. But even having, here's the 2 different locations that I work in, that's a huge step in the right direction. And again, optimizing over time, right? You can start with a really basic segment and then get more specific as you go on. Reginald, yes, if there's no co-borrower, it will only show the borrower. Yeah, it is. The system is smart enough to know that. And then Edward Cook says, is mortgage considered a spam word? It's not yet. I'll just say that. It's not yet. I'm sure it will over time, but it's not yet. So this is a big one in your guys' emails to increase your engagement. You're going to want to have more text and less links, right? They want, if you send out a 5-word email blast, these email service providers, again, Google's, Hotmail's, Yahoo's, they want to see that there's actually some content attached, that you're actually providing some value in the emails that you send. There isn't a specific number that they want you to hit, but just in a general rule, you want to make sure there's enough meat in your emails so that there's some value people can get. And again, this isn't you're not shooting for I want this many words in my email, but you're shooting for, if I send a 1,000-word email versus a 200-word email, which one gets better open rate? Which one gets better click-through rate? Which one gets better response rate, right? This is going to be for your personal audience. So test out a couple different, email type lengths, see what gets the best engagement rate, and then you can go from there as far as optimizing it. But yeah, too many links is going to trigger spam right off the bat. Okay, you are going to want to have 2 links tops in your emails, right? You want to have what's called a singular focus email. So when you send out a blast, you want to go, what's my goal? What do I want people to do from this blast? What's one thing I want them to do from this blast? And then set up your whole email around that one thing, right? So ideally, you're going to want to have 1 link. So let's say you're trying to send people to the application form on your website. 1 link, make the whole email about that. Let's say you want to give people a link to a blog on your website that's about new information for new home buyers. You're going to want to make your email all around getting people to do that one thing. Singular focus emails, and then 2 links top. So you can have, a link to your website, maybe a header at the top that links to your website, and then you're going to want to have, let's say, your call to action to your application form or your blog somewhere later down in the email. Okay. And then the third thing is you're going to want, as much as possible, your links in your email should match the sending domain. So if you're sending from, bob@untitledmortgage.com, if that's the email address you're sending your emails from, you're going to want the links as much as possible within your email to be linking to untitledmortgage.com, right? You're going to want the links to match the domain name you're sending from, okay? Let's see here. Jay asks, are links in my email signature considered links in the score? Those would be, yes. So again, if you have 3, you'll probably be okay. You want to shoot for around 2. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly hitting this here, guys. You just want to get as close to as possible. Okay, so let's say if you have, in the past, let's say you've had 7 links in your signature and then 2 links in your header and then 3 links in your emails. The goal is you want to just decrease these over time, not just cut them all out right off the bat. Again, what you're looking for here is a slow and steady increase in your engagement rates over time and your results over time. Right? You don't have to just cut it all out the window now, but let's say you have 5 that you've been sending out on regular, cut it down to 4, and then in a couple months, cut it down to 3. Just keep improving it over time. Okay. So yeah, don't put too many links. It triggers the spam. Singular focus emails. You want 2 links tops, and then make sure whatever you want people to do in that email, that's what you're crafting the email around. So think of the goal first and then craft the email around that goal. And then you want your links to match the sending domain. So sending domain is bob@untitledmortgage.com, you want to be linking to untitledmortgage.com. All right, this one seems like the most duh, but this is a huge one as far as triggering the spam filter and criteria on all these email service providers. And it's also a huge one on affecting your email score. You are not want to have misspelled words. So if you need to, go on to some platform or find a proofreader to send out your emails to quickly, it is going to be worth it paying the fee to have someone proofread your emails to make sure that there's no obvious typos in them. A spammer is someone who's going to be sending out hundreds of emails a day. They're not going to be taking the time to craft really good, valuable emails for their sendees. So misspelled words is huge. Spammy words is also a huge one. So, the basic buy now, let's get this free, act now, those kind of, you can tell when you're doing some spammy language. And again, this can be a criteria you give to your proofreader, say, hey, look out for if I use any kind of spammy sounding language, right? Edward wants to know, does our email editor do spell check? Yes, it does. So the BNTouch email editor does have a spell check built into it. But again, it's not a human reading it. So, even sometimes on Microsoft Word and, in BNTouch, Google Docs, they'll miss some things just because they're not a person reading it. It is all through an algorithm. So I would always have, if only one set of eyes is looking at your emails, that's not enough. Get at least a second set of eyes on your emails. I would recommend that at least. Overused exclamation marks, that is a huge one. So you shouldn't be sending in all caps with overused exclamation marks. You should not be sending like, click the button now and like have 7 exclamation marks at the end. My general rule is I try to only have 1 exclamation mark within every couple paragraphs of text. I would probably shoot to have around maybe 1, 2 tops exclamation marks within your whole email total. And then number 4 is writing in all caps. You shouldn't be doing this anywhere, but all caps is a huge spam filter check for all the ESPs, email service providers as well. So that is no typos or spammy words. And then finally, we have here test. Okay, the best way to make sure you're sending someone that it's going to provide them value is you're going to want to put yourself in their shoes, right? If you are sending to your list of first-time home buyers, put yourself in the shoes of a first-time home buyer and say, what would I want to receive? What would I want to be getting from my loan officer or potential loan officer as an email if I was a first-time home buyer? And send them those emails, write that content, right? That's how you should be sort of framing all your marketing. Pretend, empathize with that person. What are their pain points? What problems are they trying to solve? And then create that content, send that to them. All right, you're going to want to try out different subject lines and content within your results. So let's say you have, a subject line for first-time home buyers that's, 5 things every first-time home buyer needs to know. And then you have your content, sort of that listicle style. And then you have one that's, hey, John, just wanted to give you some info, something that's a little more personalized to them. Right? Have 2 sort of strategies that you want here, and then see which one performs better within your results. As soon as I get through this, we'll get into BNTouch. I'll show you how you can track those results. So yeah, track your results. Actually, let's do that now. So from within BNTouch, we're going to cancel out of this here. This is how you're going to track your own email results within BNTouch, right? So we are in, let's say, the marketing tab here. We're going to go into one of our campaigns that we have. Then you'll see there are all these tabs up here at the top. Steps is going to be all your campaign steps. Then you'll see there's one here for reports. Okay, so this will show you how many active people are within that campaign, how many have unsubscribed. Okay, so this is how you're going to get, let's say, your unsubscribe rate. And then if you click on summary here, I already have one loaded up. It'll show you a summary of sort of the results of every email you sent out within that campaign. So each one of these columns is an email you sent out within your campaign. We have the first number here is the sent, And this one I pulled up here is actually one that has been banned, that has been discontinued. It's been kicked out for having a low email score. This is from a list that we bought actually at BNTouch, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And I just wanted to show you guys, how this actually can affect you. This is a list that we bought back in the day. And then you'll see the blue number is red. Not red is how many people didn't look at it, and then skipped is going to be, you can consider that your bounce rate. Reginald wants to know how we found the active campaign. So they're going to be from within your marketing tab within BNTouch, and then campaigns is going to be this first link here. So you're going to go marketing tabs, campaigns. This will show you all the campaigns that you have within your CRM. And then you're going to go into the one you want to see the results of. And then here there is a reports tab. Okay, this is going to be sort of your overall, and then the summary is the deeper dive, which is what we're looking at here. How do you know if your email campaign is banned? Are you notified? So I will show you that right in here. You'll actually see it within your results. They will just stop. You'll see that it doesn't send to people anymore. So you'll send out your blasts and they won't have any recipients. It won't show any sent anymore. So you'll see here, we had some actually pretty weak results on this one. Wait a minute, I swear I wrote down. Okay, so here we go. So let's say we had right here, we sent out 4,785 emails and 217 of them were read, divided by 400, 7,000, right? So that's about a 5% open rate or read rate there, okay? What we're gonna want to be shooting for, and again, this is a list that we bought. This is showing you a bad campaign. This isn't showing you a good campaign. And then I'll show you how over time we started to get what's called triggered within the system, and we started to show to less and less people in the email service provider, and then it got kicked out. Okay, so as far as open rates, you're going to be wanting to shoot for a 20% or above open rate. Okay, as far as bounce rate, we're going to be wanting to be shooting for a 3% and above. That's going to be a problem. So we want to be shooting for a 3% or lower bounce rate on our emails. This is a really small margin of error here, guys. If we're getting in like the 5% range on our emails bouncing, this is going to be affecting our email score. Okay, so you're going to want to. It's really important that you're cleaning your lists and making sure that if someone deletes their email address or gets rid of it, or you lose through churn maybe 20% of your email addresses every year. So you're going to want to be making sure that once a month, at least once a quarter, you're cleaning your email lists. Okay, and then in BNTouch, your bounces are going to be the ones that are skipped here. Okay, this sort of grayed out number. All right, so you'll see them here. This is the one that we're looking at now. We had 4,785 sent, and then 1,394 were actually bounced. So these were bad email addresses that we sent to. This is a huge red flag for the email service providers, okay? The unsubscribe rate, you're gonna want that to be, when it gets above 0.5%, that's a problem. Okay, so again, the following the golden rules, making your content better and only sending to people who opted in for your content. If you're doing these two things, you're probably not gonna have to worry about these percentages. They sound scary because it's a very small margin of error. And again, you can see your unsubscribed here is 17. So on this one, we had 17 divided by 4,768. So we have, less than 0.03% on this one unsubscribed. So that's pretty normal. And then so again, unsubscribe is going to be from reports. Before you click on summary, you'll see your unsubscribers there. And then click-through rate, we just want that to be trending upward. You're going to look at your click-through rate from a different spot. I'll show you guys that as well. So click-through rate is how many people are actually clicking on the link within your email, whether that's in your signature, some sort of call to action button to your application or to your blog or to wherever it is within your email. So that's going to be from your reports tab. We're going to do the tracker summary report, this one right here. And then we're going to want to event type, go to click through, put that on our weekly. So this is showing us from our tracker. You can track anytime someone clicks through an email actually in your tracker. Nope, that didn't pop up. Not popping up here for some reason, but when you guys do this, you'll see it. Again, this is one of our sort of demo accounts, so there may not be enough data in there. But you're going to want to go to reports, tracker summary report, select the date range you're looking at, and then your click-through rate, and you'll get a nice little line graph here. And again, you're just going to want to make sure that this is trending upwards, right? You're going to want to make sure that this is getting better. There is no number that you want to shoot for. The goal here isn't to be shooting for some ideal numbers. It's to be beating yourself last month, right? You want to be beating your results last month and the month before. As long as you are sort of uptrending in your results slowly over time, there's nothing you need to worry about, okay? So just make sure you're testing things and making it better. And then we'll show you here for you, Michael, you'll see over time, let's say, so we'll look at this blue number. 217 people read it. It was sent to 4,000 people. If we scroll down through this campaign over the couple of years of sending stuff out, you'll see this number started to get smaller and smaller over time. We weren't checking our results to make sure that we were sending out better and better content. Right, and then you'll see starting at about Halloween of last year, all these numbers go to 0. All right, this means that this domain, this email we're sending from, it has now been considered a spam email address by the email service providers. Okay, so that is what could happen. Want to make sure it doesn't for you guys. Again, you can always create that second email address, the second domain name and email address, if you want to, test stuff and try things and see if it works. It's sort of like your blank canvas or your safe haven where you can test stuff out, and you can create as many alternate emails and domains as you want to test different things to make sure that your corporate address, the one that you are sort of your bread and butter address, is not getting affected in any negative ways. And then again, just go back to the golden rules real quick. Only send emails to those who've opted in, and track your results to improve your quality. As long as you're doing these two things, you'll have nothing to worry about. The rest of the tactics are just things you can do to improve and make sure that these two things are happening if you want to dive a little deeper. Any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat now. I'll hang around for a little bit longer if you guys have any more questions. If not, have a great day. I will be putting up this recording into the Facebook family group, which I will go ahead and link back into the chat as well. That is the Facebook family group. Go ahead and join that if you're not in it. This webinar is going to go right into there if you guys want to access it later. We have our YouTube page. It'll also go here. And then if you have any questions about this stuff moving forward, you can reach me right here at marketing@BNTouch.com. Again, there's some crucial stuff. Follow the 2 golden rules, you'll be okay. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Recording up in the BNTouch family page. Marketing at BNTouch. Oh, we got a couple questions here. Any good lead list providers? Randy, I recommend that you do not purchase email lists anymore. Instead, what you should be focusing on more is having a landing page with a form, and then advertising that page. So having a Facebook ad that runs to that page, having a Google ad that people can search for that runs to that page, something that's about getting people to opt in, so giving you their email address, opting into your communications. That is the best way to do it now instead of buying an email list. So running an ad that goes to some sort of landing page to collect data. We do have on our YouTube page, we have a webinar. Let's see, we have a webinar here. You can see creating landing pages for your mortgage business, Reginald. So we have one that we talk about how you can create landing pages with BNTouch and some other platforms. So go ahead and check that out. That talks about landing pages. And then again, if you are going to buy a list of contacts, make sure you create a second domain name and a second email address on that domain name. And if you use that to email any lists you purchase, it won't affect your email address you're using now. It won't affect your email score for your main email address. Okay, so if you are going to do any of the sort of the shadier practices post spam crackdown, go ahead and do it on your second email address. How can I remove all bounces and bad emails right now? Jay Robbins. So that is, where are we at? So we are in the process of adding a list cleaning tool into BNTouch. But right now you have these three right here. You can just Google any of these. I'll put the links back in the chat one more time for you. So NeverBounce is one. MailGun is the second one. Copy link. And then data validation is the third one. These you can use to clean up your lists right now. Again, they give you a certain amount of contacts for free every month. And then depending on how many contacts have, you may need to pay a little bit of a fee on top of that. I recommend you guys do this every month, minimum every quarter, to clean your lists. Make sure you're keeping your bounce rates low, because that's a huge factor in your email score. And then again, we are currently working on implementing a feature that does this into BNTouch right now. What we do have currently in BNTouch is you can clean up your duplicates. So we have a duplicate removal tool. We'll be adding another one. Is there a way to export our current, Craig says, is there a way to export our current email contacts from BNTouch so we can run them through a list cleaning company? Yes, yes, yes. That'll be from within the options tab here. You can export. You can export any of your lists, your groups you create within BNTouch, any of your pipelines. You can download them as a CSV file, and then you can actually upload that. So you can do this from your client database, your partnership database, all your client data, and then you can upload those to any of the email cleaning services. So that's how so options, export records. So you guys could do that right after this webinar. Go clean up your lists, re-upload it, and you'll have a nice clean list you don't need to worry about anymore, or for another month or quarter. Sorry about that. Randy and Jay both said they use, Randy says he uses LeadPop's landing pages with Facebook and Google business pages. Thanks, awesome. Yeah, whatever works. Again, we have a website and landing page tool you can add on in the modules section and BNTouch. Again, we have a webinar for creating landing pages on our YouTube. Let's see. Jay says, can I determine who in my database have not opened an email after several months, and can I delete them? That is a feature. Again, we are going to be sort of fully fleshing out our email features after this sort of crackdown. Again, this is just started in 2020 when they really started to crack down, but that's something we'll be adding over time, Jay. There's currently not a way to do that at the moment, but we're working on it. So it'll come before you'll be hurt by not having it. I can promise that. Is the Facebook info up to date with the way Facebook works now? Reginald, what do you mean by the Facebook info? I'm a bit confused by that one. Training. Oh, on the YouTube page. So that one is probably 5 or 6 months old. So it may have a bit different design on the actual ad page when you're going through it, but the information should be pretty much the same. The only thing that is different is all mortgage, credit, finance providers, they have to check a box now when you create a Facebook ad that says you're in a special ad category. You can Google Facebook special ad category. I'll type that in here. And that will be really the only difference from the training that I have in there. So if you watch the training and then Google Facebook special ad category, make sure you hit that box when you make your ad. You shouldn't have any problems. And if you do, you're welcome to email marketing at BNTouch. Cool. Any more questions, guys? If not, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I'll be as soon as we get off of here, I'll be uploading it to the YouTube page and getting it onto the Be in Touch Facebook family page, so you guys can, jump back if you need any refreshers or want to take some more notes or whatever. I'll also see if I can upload the slide files into there as well, so you guys can have that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't see any more questions. Oh, the email. I'll go ahead and type that in. It's just marketing@beintouch.com. I'll try to guide you as best as I can. Again, I'm not able to diagnose what's happening in your Facebook account. So if it's not sort of a more general strategic question, I can only help you so much there. But have a great rest of your day, guys. Happy Wednesday. The weekend's almost here. And then I will see you guys on the next webinar. Thank you very much.